Hello. Oops. Let me just. Okay. Hello, my loves. There we are. Let me take a minute and get this out everywhere. When you're hopping on, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you're catching the replay, do the same. And we have a ginger available. The cat is here. Happy Tuesday. Isn't that funny? All right. No, ma'am, we're not going to do this. Corey, would you do me a favor since you're on here and make sure that I'm live on YouTube? I'm not showing up. At least I don't see myself. Oh, wait, here it is. I found it. Never mind. I'm trying to see. No, this is not going to work for me, my love. This is not going to work for me. Just give me a minute, you guys, so I can get this shared out and we can chat about all the things. Thanks, Corey. I see you now. Trying to do all kinds of things at once is not. This cat is like persistent that she is here. No, ma'am, you can't go up there and see everybody. How's everybody feeling? Florida. Good morning, Barbara, Karen, Ann, Salim. Awesome. And if you guys could share this out if you feel called, that would be amazing. I'm going to go ahead and get us live in one other place. And we'll be set to go. There we go. Yay! Hello, everybody. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Laura. How are you guys feeling? Quite off. Yeah. Yesterday, especially. Yesterday felt so bizarre on so many levels. It literally felt like, God, I can't even put words to it. I felt like I was discombobulated. I felt like I was all over the place. I had a hard time grounding and staying in my body. The energy was super high. Thank you for sharing, Laura. I appreciate you. It was super high. The energy was super high yesterday. For those of you who are on TikTok, if you want to access this in the future or come back, you can follow me on YouTube, and you'll be able to see the whole video from beginning to end. And I am more attentive to the comments on YouTube and Facebook at the moment, but I will check in with you guys at the end. Yeah, it felt super like yesterday. I felt like there was, it almost felt like the opposite of a timeline convergence. So when you have a convergence of timelines, you have like all of these energies coming into one, and we are headed to that, right? So we're going to get into this, but it felt more like more timelines became available. It felt like all of a sudden there was all of these new pathways opened up, and the guides are starting to come in right now. And so as we had this big opening up, it felt like there was more available energy. There was more possibilities, but it was confusing because I was like, okay, there's a lot more energy here. I can feel there's more possibilities. There's more potentials, but I don't know what to do with them. I'm not sure what they are yet. And I really couldn't, anything I tried to commit to yesterday was like, this is a no-go. This is a no-go. We're not going to do that today. So I was like, I don't know what to do here. I don't know what to do. Oh, thank you, Rachel. Yeah, this is what happens to my hair when I let it be in a double French braid for a couple of days. Yesterday, it was even curlier. It'll last a few days and then I'll have to wash it. But thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate it. Yesterday and today are crazy. I'll come back and watch. Yes, thank you. So the guides are coming in. So we're going to go in and out with the guides a little bit, the ancestors. So, there's a lot of confusion, and I am not an astrologer. I don't pretend to be, but I channel the energy of the planet. See, we don't have to go based upon education, though there's something wrong with it. So don't think I'm saying it's bad, to become an astrologer or no, ma'am. My cat is just next level lately. You either sit with me or you go somewhere else. So I'm not an astrologer, and there's nothing against doing that, learning it professionally, but you don't have to do that because we all have the ability to tap into the energy of the planets in the solar system and communicate directly with them. And that's something that I have done most of my life, I feel like, without even really having any formal training in it. It just started to happen. And, in shamanism and our ancestors believed that the planets were represented in our body. So when the planets move, it adjusts our divine blueprint and opens things up or releases things. Astrology and time, the guides say, are markers. They are markers for events from the past. I have to mix quantum and linear terms for you guys to understand, but it creates markers for the past, but also divine destined points where we are given these huge opportunities and potentials to change the game completely, to step into that new space, that new energy, to go to our next level. And that's why it's important that we understand that we are always right where we're supposed to be, always. And that space is based upon the work that you have done. It is not necessarily based upon, oh, you don't have to do anything and you're going to get to exactly where you need to be. No, it is a balance of I have to make decisions, and those decisions are the words that I speak and the actions that I take. And this is why I always say the words that you speak and the actions that you take is a vote. It is a vote for more of the same, whether you realize it or not, for the collective and for yourself. So our world stage absolutely is a reflection of the collective state of being, and we each contribute to that collective. So okay, I love you, but you are really distracting me. So let me get my stream of thought back. Oh, look at you guys with the Corys. How cute. Texas, man, Texas has been coming up a lot for me. Okay, so back to the guides. So in shamanism, the body parts are the planet. Sorry, we've got way too much. I'm trying to get back into where I was processing through information here. So the ancestors believe that the planets are mirrored inside of our body. And this is what we call ascension symptoms. So as time moves, as we move through time, and as the planets go through their journey, it unlocks things inside of our being, in our body. Our body is a temporary home for us. It is a tool that allows us to access information and remembrance. It has all of the information that we need inside of us compressed. And something actually I'm teaching right now in the energy matrix is accessing the Akash and accessing that information from inside of your being instead of going somewhere outside of you. A lot of spiritual teachings are going to change soon because there's been a for years and years, spiritual teachers, metaphysical teachers have taught you to go outside of you, to take astral journeys to planets, to get the information here, to go here to get the information. And honestly, that is just further teaching you that everything lives outside of you, when in reality, everything is accessible within you. And that's how I teach things. And it really helps you to begin to anchor and trust in yourself in a way that you never have before, right? It's still a process. It takes time and you have to practice that. But so we have a lot of different conversations happening right here. So we have the planets, and we're going to talk about the Pluto return for a minute. And then we also have, the energy of the twos. And this all kind of comes together. So let me try to streamline the information that's coming in, because we have two different teams. I have two different teams trying to communicate here. So in December, actually, I remember talking about this all the way back into October, but in December, the guides brought through the fact that we were going to be going through a portal known as the Great Change. And that portal opened up in the end of December, and it was going to run through, at the very least, the March energy. So the portal that I'm talking about is going to kind of close on the Pisces new moon, is what they're saying. But what this is really an activation of that great change. It is the whole entire collective, like slow motion moving into this new docking station where we're going to like catapult forward throughout this year. And so right now we are at the peak of that energy. We're at the tail end. Like I say the peak because it's the peak of the Pluto return, but it's the most intense part of this energy. So when you do it in numerology, when you look at the twos, it's 6 twos. That is a very rare thing. That actually equals a 12, which is completion, but more than completion, because a lot of people associate 10 with completion, but 12 is like ultimate completion. It's mastery. This is what we've been talking about. The 12 is the mastery energy before you can go into the 13, right? And the 13 is really that soul embodiment. It's the soul consciousness. So the 12 is where we are completing a huge karmic cycle. The broken down, the 1 and the 2 of the 12 equals 3. That's change. That is huge change. Again, that's why they called it the Great Change, right? It's this huge thing that's happening. And we're already beginning to see the effects of that, especially if you're someone who's already following me. If you have tapped into mainstream media at all, if you've kind of looked around, you're starting to see peaks of our world showing up in all of those places that we don't usually see it in. And it's really kind of cool to witness, right? And you're watching all these people wake up and go through these belief system changes and their minds opening and going, something's not right here, because they're breaking free of that fog. That veil that we've had for so long is almost non-existent at this point. And for those of you who haven't followed me for a long time, the veil is a collective belief system. That's all the veil is. And that collective belief system is changing so rapidly that the veil is almost non-existent completely. So we're amidst some major change. So over the next 2 weeks, this week and next week will be the most intense energy. And then over the next 2 months, we're going to say the end of April-ish. Remember, time is fluid. So this could change depending upon the decisions and that the collective makes together. So this could alter, but as of this moment, it looks to be the end of April, where we'll really start to see the outside world go through that change. So March and April are really going to be intense on the world stage. We're going to see a lot of last-ditch efforts to manipulate and control, because most of you think this has been a pandemic. Really, it's been a frequency war. Pandemics don't last years, you guys. It is a frequency war. And this is why for years and years, I have been talking about learning to manage your frequency. Because if you don't know how to manage your energy, which is your frequency, and you don't know how to keep it where you can keep coming back and allowing yourself to process without getting sucked down, you can be easily mind controlled and manipulated. These are intense frequency wars. It doesn't mean you have to stay in a meditative state, but it's about learning to be present. It's about learning to have good boundaries, discernment, and again, managing your energy, not allowing it to be sucked out, controlled, manipulated. It's you standing in the truth of you and not allowing the external to affect the internal. All right. And so I have many courses that teach you how to do this. If you want to know which one's best for you, you can always PM me and tell me where you are, and I will guide you to the very best option for you. But this is something that you will have to learn to do, whether with me, on your own, with somebody else, to manage your frequency. If you want to be able to sustain new earth frequencies. Remember, new earth is not a destination. It is a lens of perception, right? The same way dimensions are. The fifth dimension is not a place. It is a frequency that you embody. We're not going up there. We're not going anywhere. We're not like leaving our bodies. We are embodying the higher frequencies. And this is why I'm always talking about what ascension really is, because there's a lot of miscommunication about that word, right? Ascension is your soul descending into density, while the carbon-based dense human ascends to meet in that middle space right there at the heart, out of the density. So the game was, let's see how far we can go into the density and still remember who we truly are. And it's not that we are human. We have a human aspect, but we are multidimensional. We have inner children, we have ego aspects, which are our human aspects, by the way, and we have soul aspects. And so it's about bringing all of those together on the same bus, into the same vessel, and working as a team to serve us, so that this human experience can be one that's enjoyable, no matter what's happening outside of us. Like, that's super important. It's super, super important to understand that, right? Some people call that heaven on earth, and it is that way. But let me just say this as someone who is learning to sustain new earth frequencies in a longer state of like sustainment, right? Not just experiencing it. It's not that there isn't obstacles, because the more you practice sustaining the higher state of frequencies, the more the ego shows up and gives you an opportunity to work with it, not against it. It's not an internal conflict anymore. It's like, hey, I hear you. Right? This is why my modality is so simple, but it works so powerfully. I hear what you're saying. I see that you're there. I'm not trying to avoid the ego. I'm not trying to fight with it. I'm like, hey, you're valid in your point, but you know what? I feel pretty safe, and I'm going to go this way. And the more that you learn to trust yourself, and the more that you keep your word to yourself, and the more you have your own back and put yourself first and foremost, the more that ego will quiet down. And we want it to quiet down in a way that it is still communicating with us and helping us operate a human vessel. But it's not going like, oh my God, brace for impact. You're about to get in a car accident. It's like, she's got it. Relax, right? Because that is what the ego does. It like hammers our nervous system. And so it's about teaching the ego to get on board and say, hey, she knows what she's doing. We don't need to go through the algorithm of the past anymore and pull out every scenario to prove to her that this shit's going to go wrong again, that it's going to be the same story, because we see that she's starting to do what's in her best interest. And once you get to that space and you start to hold those higher frequencies like I am, it's not that the noise isn't there. Like I said in the beginning, it's not that the obstacles aren't there. In fact, I'm in the biggest transition of my life, but you probably wouldn't know it by the way that I show up online, right? because I'm actually in the best place I've ever been mentally, while going through one of the hardest transitions that I haven't really even shared publicly. I have more joy, I have more peace, because I can live in totality. I can hold both, because I'm not being weighed down. I'm not like so attached to the joy and the peace, and I'm not so attached to the pain anymore. I'm learning to live in that balance point, that center point, the heart space, where it's like, cool, I see that my ego's here. Cool, I see my inner children are here. Cool, like my higher self, I'm choosing to be the ride or die with my higher self, and with my soul aspects, with my galactic team. And I'm like, these are my friends. Like, come on, let's go. So you have to learn to manage your frequency. And this is why I'm also the queen of saying, you are always manifesting. Today's a big day where people are like, manifest, manifest. Let me tell you, the 2 energy is a very, very abundant energy. And we are also in Pisces season. And we're also in Pisces is also doing something with Neptune. And it's really amplifying the potentials and the possibilities. And this is why those of you who have been doing the work, those of you who have been building and working on yourselves, and you feel like, when is it going to take off? When am I going to have that? When am I going to anchor in? When am I going to have that clarity? When's everything going to click into place? When is the reward going to come in? This is going to be your year. 2022 is a big year for a lot of people who have put in the work. If you haven't put in the work, this year is going to be potentially a struggle for you. It's going to be a wake-up call, and it's going to be a reality check to start taking responsibility for your state of being, and really start taking some steps for reconciling and coming into harmony with all of you. So this is a really big deal. So when we talk about the Pluto return, there's been a lot of confusion around that. I've seen, which is interesting because I don't follow a lot of people, but I've noticed on TikTok tends to show me things. It's like forever it was Pinterest, right? But I get a lot of messages through TikTok, and like I'll see it and then I'll get the message internally. There's been a lot of astrologers going, oh, this isn't the US Pluto return. This Pluto return's been happening for a very long time. Pluto is like the slow as molasses. So we have been in this Pluto return for a few years, and we're going to be in it for a few more years. But this is, when I talk about the peak, this is the peak of that. And that energy, this is why it feels so intense right now. But it is us reclaiming our sovereignty as a nation, as a community. A lot of people don't know that the things have been manipulated in the background. The Constitution was a little bit manipulated. Everything has kind of been manipulated to kind of favor the corporation that is the government. And they saw an opportunity, and for a long time, they've used that opportunity to control, to manipulate, and to get what they've wanted. And it's really come at our expense. But we were also a contributing factor to that because we went along with it. And we didn't have the help that we do now. We were under a very heavy veil and kind of sheltered or disconnected from the help that we needed. We kind of had a closed circuit for a little while. And in 2012, that circuitry kind of broke wide open, and we started receiving those new frequencies coming in. And we actually moved from the 3rd D to the 4th D on the planetary level. So now that we've been in the 4th dimension since 2012, when you look at dimensions, it's not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. Within each dimension, there are layers within it. So just kind of imagine this is the 4th to the 5th dimensional block. Inside that are different phases that we've been moving through without really noticing that that's what we've been doing. So we're getting really close to the collective moving into the 5th dimension. We still have some time to go linearly, like slow motion replay. That's what Earth is. But we are getting super close. And for that to happen, we have to have the majority of the collective in that frequency. We have to have a certain amount of beings. This is not telling you to go wake people up. It's not telling you to put it in their faces. It's not telling you to, to do that whole "I told you so" nonsense. This is an opportunity for us to be the change. It's an opportunity for us to practice what we preach. It's an opportunity for us to take everything that we've learned and to embody it. That means that this is our new state of being, and this is how we operate. It's no longer telling people, it's showing people by our actions. So if you want to live and sustain new earth frequency, judgment has to go. We have 22 people on Facebook right now. That's cool. Judgment has to go. It has to go. Judging yourself, judging other people. It has to go. You have to start seeing the world through a compassionate lens. And that's really, really hard for people because people have been conditioned to believe that it's an eye for an eye. It's punish. We have to punish, and we have to, someone who does something wrong. It's releasing right and wrong. What's right for me may be wrong for you. What's right for you may be wrong for me. It's releasing judgment. It's saying wherever somebody is, that's where they need to be. It may not be something that you choose to have in your everyday life, but it's understanding that that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to manage your state of being and to live in peace and to choose to take actions and speak from a space of affirmation, space of solution, a space of I'm going to talk about and contribute and invest in things that I want to see more of. And if it's something that I don't want to see more of, I'm not going to put any energy into it. I'm not going to fight with it. I'm not going to fight for it or against it. I'm just not going to comply. I'm not going to give it any of my energy. And when I see something that is taking a positive step forward towards the direction that we want to go in my own personal world and in the reality, I will stand for that and I will put energy into that. So it's basically saying stop fighting against what is happening right now. And anybody that is with me, we're just going to take a moment. This is what we call a transmission. So even though I'm talking, this is a transmission. So you guys are receiving frequencies right now, and I'm sweating like a mofo. So when I channel and I sweat like this, that means I'm channeling frequencies. So it's a transmission. So just if this gets too much, just take a minute and breathe and feel your feet on the ground and make sure you drink lots of water. I needed to say that and I got off track when I did, but I needed to put that out because I haven't done it. So we'll let this come back and I'll check in with the comments. Oh, Sonia, I bet the energy in Arizona is amazing. What part of Arizona are you in? I love Sedona, but there's so many good places in Arizona. It's not just Sedona. There's so many very potent places in Arizona. Such big energy. Okay, let's get back to the guides. Pachi Junction next door to Mesa. I've been to Mesa. I think that's the right one. Is there like an old-fashioned town in Mesa? I'm thinking that's the right area. It may not be where the town is. I love Sedona too. Even in Phoenix, you can feel the vortex energy. All right. Let me see if I can get the stream of consciousness back. Apache Junk. Okay. Yes. Rachel says, keeping present with what serves my higher good is my 2022 present purpose. Yeah. Presence is it, you guys. Presence is the key. So we were talking about embodiment. So you have to, I don't know where we left off, but we're going to start here. Embodiment is the big thing. So for me personally, I'm just going to share where I am personally. This is a culmination. I don't even know how do you say that word. Why do they give me big words? Culmination and a graduation point for me and for a lot of people who have been doing the work. So from this point forward, you have to speak in that way. So how does this look like? How does this look like in everyday reality? So basically what they're saying is when you are talking to friends, when you are talking to family members, when you are posting on social media, it's not about sharing what's wrong with the world. It's not about wanting to stand up and fight against it, saying, no, don't do this. Because remember, the universe doesn't speak in negative connotation. It doesn't speak in negative connotation. So it doesn't understand. So when you say things like, I don't want to be broke, the universe doesn't hear, it doesn't hear don't. It just hears, I want to be broke. And that was like the biggest wake up call for me when my guides just kept telling me this over and over and over and over again. Stop focusing on what you do not want, because the universe does not speak in negative connotation. Don't say I no longer am available for, because the universe doesn't hear no. It just says I'm available for. So what does that mean? That means when you're talking to your friends, when you're talking to your family, when you're posting on social media, what do you want? What do you want to focus on? What do you want to call in? What do you want to see in the world today? That is what you need to share. That is what you need to stand up for. That is what you need to share with the world and invest in. Even if it looks like it's not coming to fruition quickly, the more you talk that way, the more you share that way, the more other people learn that that is okay to do. Oh, wow, it actually feels better to share this. It actually feels better to focus on this, to put my energy in this. I stopped really listening to even the alternative news last year, because even the alternative news, as much as I love Simon Parks, all that alternative news is negative. There's rarely anything positive coming out of any of those people's mouths. So even though their intentions are in a good place, we need to focus on being the change, changing our state of being, demonstrating the new words that we want to speak, the new actions we want to take, the new reality we want to see before it's been freaking constructed, because energy is everything. It first starts with energy. So the simplest way I can describe this, and it's going to sound silly, but it's one of my favorite things. So my ex-husband is not a very aware person, and he's a great person, but he's just not very aware. But being with me for as long as he was, some things opened up for him. And I was trying to teach him how to manifest and how to do these kind of, like, consciously, right? Because we're always manifesting, but how to do it in an intentional way. So he'll stop manifesting things in his business that he didn't want. And so one of the things that came easy to him was parking spots. So he created this belief, and he kept telling himself that he always had front row parking, that he always had a front row spot. And eventually, because he kept saying it over and over again, and every time he would go out, he'd be like, no, it's just going to be there. Don't worry about it. We're just going to have a front row spot. Even when it was packed and they're like, yeah, right, it's not going to happen, he'd be like, it'll happen. He had no attachment to it because it was a parking spot, right? There was no real, like, you're not going to cry over it if you don't get it. And you know what? Everywhere he goes, he gets front row parking now. Everywhere he goes. And I have the same thing, right? I have manifested the same thing. So when I go out, I don't even think about it. I just know that I just listen to my intuition and allow myself to be guided to which direction to go. And I always end up with a front row spot. Because how this works is you keep telling yourself, right? So what you speak, your brain begins to seek evidence of. Your ego will help you with this. And this is an example that every mom that I know will understand. You pick your child's name, right? Before you even tell anybody. Like my daughter, back in 97, I named her Savannah. You didn't hear Savannah back then. As soon as I said her name was going to be Savannah, that damn name showed up everywhere. So what you speak, your brain will begin to seek evidence of. So start speaking, even if your reality isn't yet matching. This is where we're going. This is why it's relevant. So today in my YouTube membership, this is the paid part of YouTube. It's only $9.99 a month, you guys. At 2:00, so in just a little over 2 hours, I'm going to be leading a quantum accelerated alchemy method journey. This is where where we go into an Akashic temple. I open up your DNA. You guys get to really see what's standing between you and your dream reality taking shape. You're going to go through a looking glass. You're going to be able to see. This is Pluto energy. It's Neptune energy. It's Jupiter energy. It's big energy here. We're going to be able to expand out what's standing in your way and give you an opportunity to really see it, to take responsibility for it and be like, okay, this is what I have to integrate. This is what I have to integrate so that I can move forward with ease and grace and I can make space, right? When we integrate something, we make space, and that energy, that density that was integrated crystallizes and becomes our new foundation. So how do you sustain large amounts of money? How do you sustain that new relationship? How do you sustain that new level of clientele or that new job that you want or whatever that may be? You have to expand your structure. You have to be able to hold more for longer periods of time. This is why forever I lived in feast or famine. Manifest, have nothing. Manifest, have nothing. Why? Because I wasn't able to sustain the frequency long term. So how do we be able to sustain? We literally embody. This is Ascension. Ascension is crystalline energy, right? Breaking down and replacing that carbon-based density. So our body's going from carbon to crystalline. And crystalline is the strongest of energies, and it's flexible. So it can expand and sustain and hold larger and larger amounts. Density breaks, right? Carbon breaks. It can only take so much before it starts to break down. And if you have cracks in your carbon, if you have cracks in your foundation, eventually those cracks are going to be hit enough times that they're going to bust wide open. This is why we go through big tower moments. This is why we have these feast or famine cycles. So the answer is always to go through it. It's always to see what's there and keep going. As I've gone higher and higher in frequency, my ego got louder and louder. My inner children got louder and louder. And I was like, okay, hey, there you are. Because those aspects of us that are fragmented off, they are kind of frozen in time, right? So this morning, I know I'm all over the place, but just stay with me. This morning, a great example was in my transition that I'm not really ready to talk about yet, but I will eventually. I said, what's keeping me from letting go and moving forward? What's keeping me from really going all in on this? And it was my 7-year-old. It was my 7-year-old inner child. And I gave her that opportunity to just tell me, to just be like, tell me it all, everything. What are you worried about? I just want to hear it all. Not to convince her otherwise, not to force her to get on the board with me, but to hear her, to let her feel validated. Because here's the thing, and again, I'm going to use the moms here because we just have so much life experience when it comes to raising children. If you have an unruly child who's not being seen or heard, what are they going to do? Mom, mom, mom. They're going to be loud. They're going to be obnoxious. They're going to do things to get your attention. they're going to rule you. They're going to rule you. So stop what you're doing and acknowledge what's coming up in front of you as you move forward. You guys don't need to put out your shovels and start digging through the past. As you move forward, in embodying the higher frequencies, speaking those new words, taking those new actions, having faith, and bringing yourself back over and over and over and over again, those ego and inner children aspects will show up one at a time, maybe a few at a time. And you can be like, okay, cool, to be expected. What do you have to offer me? What do you have to offer me? Let me validate you. It's about bringing them home into your heart. In a private session with a client who is kind of going through a little bit of an ego death. It's not, I hate that word. And my guides came in and said, it's not dying, it's going home. That part of you feels like death because it's like, no, I have to control you. I have to be in control, because if we're not, we're going to get hurt and we're going to get injured and the things that we want aren't going to happen. I have to be in control. And if I'm not, it feels like death. It feels like I'm losing and I'm fighting with everything I have. And we have to change that energy. And we have to say, no, you're not dying. You're coming home to me. You're going to be even closer to me than you were before. It feels like an ally. It doesn't feel like an outcast. It doesn't feel rejected anymore. Is this making sense? Like, this is where we're going. This is where we're going. This is unity. Unity starts within us. When we no longer judge or blame any part of us, our trauma is not the problem, our ego is not the problem, our inner children are not the problem. We have to take ownership and say, me not managing my state of being is the problem. Me not taking responsibility for me is the problem. And this is what we all signed up for to come do. This is why right now we all wanted to be here, to witness the biggest transition that this planet has ever had. And it's going to be successful. We didn't make it in Lemuria. We didn't make it through Atlantis. We didn't make it through, the earth has wiped us clean many times because we didn't treat her right. We took advantage of her. And we're not treating her the best right now either. All of this has to change. And we are on that path. This is the great change, is working harmoniously with Earth and all of her abundance, and stepping away from genetically modified and engineered and everything, utilizing resources that aren't already abundantly free and available. This is why the government is trying so hard to hold on. Why those frequency wars are so intense. Because they have a lot of money to lose in this. A lot of money to lose in this. But when we finally get full into new earth frequencies, I can't even describe the visions I have seen of how beautiful it will be. This is what we signed up for, to be the builders of what is to come for anyone who comes behind us and decides that they want to explore and be with this journey. That's why the children born in 2022, they don't come in with karma. They're not taking a scoop of karma. Not all of them. Most of them are coming in pure crystalline. And the great walk-in that we had last year, over half, and this is going to blow your mind, over half of our population is walk-ins. Some of you are aware. Most are not. Because those walk-ins are like, hey, there's the memories, everything that is needed is in the body. It can just literally pick up where the last soul left off. And some will be here for a short amount of time to kind of help us through this transition. And then a lot of those walk-ins will exit. That's why I have said that this year is going to be the year of death and divorce, but also the flip side of that, it will be the year of union, whether that's soulmate or with yourself. When you can't really come into union, you can't really meet your soulmate till you've come into union with yourself, right? And that's through embodiment. So this is the year you reclaim all of those aspects. Actually, last year was the year we reclaimed our aspects. This is the year we embody them by being those aspects and navigating the uncomfortableness that comes with that. The uncertainty, having to walk in faith, literally feeling blindfolded, not knowing where you're going, what's next. This is the true test. Can you remember that you are the creator of your reality based upon your response or reaction to what is brought in front of you? Can you realign your inner projector and keep sustaining what you want yourself to look like, what reality you want to see, and allow it to purge out any old slides that are projecting something unserving out into the world? So within, so without, we are constantly projecting our reality. Change your state of being, change your reality. Thanks, Tanya. Yeah, this is from, remember Savannah braided it yesterday. It was even crazier. It was nicer. You know, my hair is actually wavy. It changed when I got a spiral perm right after I gave birth to my daughter at 17. So I could actually make it look like this all the time, but that's a lot of work. I'd rather just blow it out. But every once in a while, I like to do it curly. Okay, we're going to do a stopping point here because I've given a lot of information. I feel like the quantum conversations are never easy for people to understand unless you kind of are used to this, because quantum is simple, but it's all inclusive. It's not linear. The only thing that is linear, only place that is linear is the third dimension. Even the fourth dimension that we've been in since 2012, it holds a little bit of linearness, but it's where time starts to change form and really kind of go away. And a lot of people I know feel like time is like not even a thing anymore. It's so weird. Like last week felt like a month to me. So any questions? You guys have any questions? I'm going to pull TikTok closer to me and see if I can read some questions, if there are any. Let me put my glasses on. Why do I do this to myself? Rio de Janeiro. How awesome is that? It is almost magnetic, where if you just be, others will be magnetized to the state of peace. Yes, that is beautiful. Everybody's loving my hair. Thank you so much. When we die, is that it? No, you just go from non-physical or physical to non-physical. Went to a wedding, knew I was going to catch the bride flowers, and I did. See? Didn't call for it. I just knew it. And you didn't judge it, and you didn't look for it, and you didn't try to make it happen, and it just happened. Is my hair all real? Yes. I don't have extensions. We don't just move to a plasma state. There is a plasma state for sure, but that's a really good point. We have so we actually lose density completely and align to more of a stellar body. So we lose density sixth dimension is the last dimension you have density. A seventh dimension is non-physical completely. So like the ninth dimensional Pleiadians, who I channeled forever, and they're still a part of my team, but the 10th dimensional Andromedans and the 12th dimensional Arcturians are taking point right now. They align to a stellar body. Hi, Adriana. So, but they have their own bodies. It's just different. It depends. So some of them are plasma. All right, let me see if we have any questions that I missed. And what are you guys doing today? And what have you been doing? So some of the questions that I gave you guys was first to get clear on what is your big dream? What is your big dream? What is it that what is the big picture? And I don't mean like this year. I mean big picture. What is your big picture dream? What do you want to happen? What do you want to see? What do you want to experience? How do you want to feel? Who do you want to be? And then look at the shadow of that. Why do you doubt it? Why do you not make steps to move forward? What's keeping you from taking steps? Is this decision going to take me closer to this? Is this action going to take me closer, move me forward, evolve me forward? Is speaking this way, is it going to evolve me forward? Is taking this action going to evolve me forward? What keeps you from doing it? That is what you need to look at during this energy. To live financially healthy and financially set. And okay, what does that look like to you though? What does living healthy and financially set look like to you? What are you doing? What are you doing in that? You have to get super clear on that. Going on a walk. I don't know what that word is. Ground our energies, take everything that we have today. Freedom. Yes. Sarah says, I like this. I just looked out my window and I see the birds singing. It totally reminds me of the song by Game Master Paul Oakenfold. I don't know who that is. Hello, Patty. Which is an interesting thing that we were talking about. But before I go into that, hiking Superstition Mountain today. Ooh, I love Superstition Mountains. I used to go there when I was a kid with my dad. Enjoy that so much, Sonia. That sounds heavenly. I'm in a low resentment energy today. I need to accept cobwebs. I'm letting everything physical of my past go, walking through one cobweb that broke me 13 years now. This cobweb is where I need guidance. Well, you just have to ask yourself, how is it serving you to hold on to it? I need to come stay with you, Sonia. I might have to hit you up one time. We'll go hiking together. I'm probably going to mess up your name. I always mess up your name. Solensa. I hope I said that right. How is it serving you to hold on to it? How is it serving you to hold on to it? It's okay. It's okay to sometimes, like for me, I hold on to things. I have attachment issues, and I'm okay to tell you that. I'm working on detachment every single day of my life. I'm working on letting go and being in flow and being centered and grounded in the present moment. And every day I get better. Every day I get better. But anytime I find myself holding on to something, there's something there that it's serving. I have to get clear with myself. So the week before that, many of you guys know I've been going through a divorce. My divorce was final on Valentine's Day, but I had an opportunity before that to withdraw my divorce petition and to take it in a whole nother direction because I had resentment and anger coming up. And this has been a cycle for the last 2 years of me going around and around and around and around the same issue because I was attached. And I finally had to come to Jesus with myself. Remember, final judgment is when we face ourselves. We're not facing God and if you believe that, you're safe to believe that. This is my perspective. Final judgment is when we face ourselves. Why do you think when people have near-death experiences or, they come back and say, I saw my whole life flash before my eyes and I saw, it's like they get a sneak peek into where they could have done things different and have a different perspective, right? You are your final judgment, facing yourself. So you have to face yourself and say, okay, if we want to be attached, how is that serving us? Let's get real about it. And that's when we have to let the ego speak and say it's serving us this way, and the inner children speak and it's serving me this way and this way. And just take a day or two and be like, okay, let them be validated, really hear it. And then you have to be the grown-up, the parent, the mother and father inside of you and say, okay, these points are valid. They're real. But we're going to go this way because it's not helping us. It's not getting us to where we need to go. You have to see how it's serving you. It's time for you to stand on your own 2 feet, girlfriend. Time for you to stand on your own 2 feet. You don't need him. Hello, Arthur Space. Vicky says, I do have a question. I have a child with special needs. Will he just evolve without understanding? Does that make sense? He is unaware of all that going on and wouldn't understand. Actually, I don't know him, Vicky, but what I'll say is he probably has a better understanding than we actually do. Special needs, all special needs children in my book are what I call super sensitives. Like I'm sensitive, but these is like the ultimate sensitive. And this world becomes too much for them. So they might not be able to articulate it. So this is a really good question because there's a lot of unaware people, right? And unawakened people still on the planet as well. So we're going to speak to it from that space of just people who aren't, maybe they don't have the ability, the capability, or they're still very unaware. So yes, you still evolve. You still evolve and move forward, whether you're conscious of it or not. It's in those decisions. So how does that work? Is, you ever watch somebody go through these terrible, like constant pattern of victim and everything bad happening to them? These things continue to happen until you make a different decision or you just get really safe and comfortable with experiencing them, but you still evolve. And here's something that you don't really hear a lot of spiritual people, way showers or teachers or influencers speak about that I think is really important is that there are people who came here with no intentions of remembering, no intentions of, okay. They're saying I'm walking a really fine line here because this is where we go from human understanding and quantum understanding it's like this, right? It's so close together. It's not that they chose to not wake up or evolve in that way. It's that they chose to play a game and to be completely immersed in their density because they really had more to extract from it. They had more digging to do. A lot of people chose to really go deep into that density and be in it because that's the thing. That's why I asked you, I said, how is it serving you? Because sometimes we come back around and stay stuck in density because there is more for us to gain. There is more wisdom within there to dig out. There are more coals to be turned into diamonds. And we have to keep asking ourselves, is there more to learn here? Is there more wisdom for me to gain? Or am I done with this? Is it no longer serving me to go around this loops over and over and over again? So I think even very unaware people have that opportunity. And for someone who's special needs, depending upon if they need care for the rest of their life or not, right? So if there's someone who needs care, or they're then I think that you don't need to worry about them, right? As long as they're in the care of the right people. It's about who's caring for those who can't care for themselves. So whether this is somebody who's elderly, someone who's dying, someone who has special needs. But then we also see the people who are, and it's compassion, right? It's love, it's nurturing. And we have to treat the unawakened and the people who are choosing to live in that victim state or live in that lower density. We have to have the same level of compassion for them because that's what they're choosing. That's what they're choosing. And this is why the world stage has to get so intense, because some people are like, I don't want to see it or acknowledge that I've been lied to most of my life. And even history isn't correct. Like there's a lot of cognitive dissonance happening right now. A lot of cognitive dissonance where people are completely like, oh, I'm not going to even acknowledge this as a possibility, because it would cause them to go into such an extra, they're giving me big words again, such a huge crisis inside of them. They're not ready for it. So it's going to take this huge pressurizing, but we will get there. We will get through it. You had such a huge emotional release yesterday. Haven't cried that way in a while. Affirming for myself that I don't need to share all of my interests and things that spark joy for me when they come up. Yeah, learning how to love the moments with yourself and for yourself too, right? And for yourself too. Learning to be your own best friend, learning to hold space for yourself, learning to see abundance differently. Abundance has nothing to do with money. Learning to have gratitude and appreciation, learning how to live in a state of surrender. And I'm about to do a short video series on TikTok and Instagram Reels on surrender. So look forward to that, because those will be ways for you to stay in surrender. Thank you for sending me love and healing energy. I will always appreciate that. Okay, Brandon. Thank you so much for the compliment. Thank you guys for loving my hair and thinking I'm radiant today. Yeah, it's hard when you recognize that you're choosing the victim state. Listen, sometimes we need to be in the victim state. It's not a bad space. It's the first stage of awakening, actually. And there's many stages that we go through. We repeat the stages. You know, if you're someone who's worked with me, followed me, you know, I've talked about there's 4 stages of the awakening, and we kind of repeat those patterns. Each level we go and we're going to repeat those, right? So sometimes we have to be in the victim state. Sometimes there's a part of us that needs to have expression. I know for me, I had to do, I'm kind of known for working multidimensionally, which means I work with the parts of ourselves, right? All aspects, inner children, ego, higher dimensional. I'm kind of known for my parts work. And one of the things that really changed the game for me was learning how to let these parts of me have full expression. And the reason why that was important is because, like, okay, in my instance, I had a lot of trauma as a child. I had a lot of trauma as an adult, but my child trauma, I never had the opportunity in that now moment to express I was hurt, to express my anger, to express the pain. I had to completely disassociate. I wasn't allowed to be upset that I was abused. I wasn't allowed to be happy. I wasn't allowed to do anything. I was basically forced to shove everything into my body. So I have been able to give those aspects of me full expression. And sometimes that means being in the victim, but it doesn't mean you stay there. You give yourself full expression, which allows for understanding, which opens the door for compassion. Do you know the number one reason why we're in fear or we're in resistance? It is because we don't understand. Like right now, the transition that the point of transition that I am in, my logical brain cannot compute it. It makes no freaking sense. And because of that, my ego is in a lot of fear. And I'm having to navigate that where my soul is like, woohoo, it's going to be an amazing adventure. And I'm like, I kind of want to go with her. But you make valid points. You see what I'm saying? Like, we got to work it out. But you got to give those parts of you expression so that you can come into the understanding, so that you lose the fear and you can now come into compassion. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So what does it mean to be authentic then? What does it mean to be authentic? Because if you're not authentic, here's some ways to know if you're not being authentic. You change the way you speak around certain people. You have a perfectly curated social media, right? Your images have to be flawless. You have to have makeup on. You know, or you do a lot of filters, and nothing wrong with any of these things. I'm not judging. You change who you are, the way you dress, the things you say, the things you do based upon the people that you're around. Instead of being like, well, this is who I am, right? And this is how I am. I started working on my authenticity probably in, I don't know, I think I've always been pretty authentic. I went through a journey, right? You guys, for those of who have watched me for a long time, I got some OGs on here from 2000. Oh, we got a beautiful bird. 2015. So I know I got some OGs in the house, but you guys have seen me go through my natural phase where I didn't wear makeup at all. I didn't dye my hair. You guys have seen me go through phases where I wear fake eyelashes, and I was back to doing my hair and nails. I'm actually on a nail break right now and a hair break, as you can tell. You guys have seen me kind of go through the gamut, but sometimes I show up with full makeup. Sometimes I look like a homeless person. You know, that's me. It's me loving me and going, it doesn't define me, and I don't need to show up wearing a mask. I don't need to do that. So what's authenticity to you? That's freedom, right? That's the ultimate freedom. Freedom's a state of being. So the ultimate freedom is not giving a fuck. As long as you feel beautiful, and as long as you feel good about yourself, and as long as it's making you happy. Now, we don't do that at the detriment of somebody else, right? For me, for you, for us. When we're selfish, we're doing it for us, even though we know it'll be damaging to other people. That's what to me means selfish. But when I do something for other people that doesn't serve me, that's selfish too. So how do we balance that? For me, for you, and then it will be good for everybody. So if it's not aligned to me, if it's not something I want to do, if it's not something I actually want to do or like to do, and I do it anyway to please you or to fit in with somebody, I've just violated my own boundaries. I've abandoned myself. I've rejected myself. And this is why the ego does not trust us. That's why our inner children don't trust us. So you do what you want to do. Like it gives whole new meaning to do you, boo, right? It just does. Do what makes you happy and what feels good that is also going to serve the whole. So if someone wants you to do something and every fiber of your being wants to be like, no, and you instead go, I guess I'll do it for you. One, that's being a martyr. And two, you're doing that from a wounded place. If you don't want to do it, stop. Don't do it. Who are you? You're a being of light. Who are you? You are love. Anything beyond that is an avatar that you're playing to play a game, and that's okay. It takes us a while to own our freak flag. I'm glad that you have kind of owned your blatant openness. It's taken me a long time to own my freak flag. Yes, Sonia, perfect. The more authentic I am, the more the right people are showing up in my life. Yes, because you're actually now being who you are, and in doing that, you're magnetically attracting the right people. Because how many people have wore the mask for a long time? You've been who somebody else wanted you to be, and you're like, why do I keep attracting all these stupid? No, excuse me, not stupid, but why do I keep attracting the wrong people? Because you're not being who you are. Okay. We are at 1 minute, 11 seconds. So any other questions before we close out? Some people want to understand the truth that is that I am now, always, never, forever. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh. Yeah, you know what's funny is I know what you're saying now. This was actually a really interesting insight that helped me, and it's this. Every single person, whether it's your child, your best friend, your parents, coworkers, clients, your neighbor, the person at the grocery store, every single person that you come in contact with has their own perception of you. They see you how they want to see you, through their own lens. And those lenses are their filters, right? It's their limiting beliefs. It's their trauma. It's their density. And we're always either seeing through our density or through the rose-colored glasses of our heart space. All of those people know me by their perception of me. I'm the only one that knows the true me. So I find it's funny sometimes the perceptions people give me, especially those who are closest to me. And they'll send me something, like I just had Tanya sent me something the other day, and she's like, this reminds me of you. And I watched it and I was like, that's not me. But there was a part of that person's expression that reminded her of me. And it was just another thing of like, I don't have to prove anything. I know who I am. I don't need to prove to you who I am. And I can't make you see me the way I see me. So why do we try to like, just think that, like, it just makes you go, why have I been trying so hard to prove to people who I am? They will never understand because they're not me. Just like my guides, most of my guides are higher dimensional beings that haven't incarnated on Earth, which makes my journey a little bit more difficult because they don't know what it's like to be incarnated here. They can only give me their higher perspective. I have to use my ego and the human understanding to balance that and make esoteric understandable, to make it simple. But when we think of it in that way, that's how we can understand it. I'll never know what it is like to be you. Never. because I have not walked in your shoes. I have not been in your body filled with your lenses. And nobody else will ever understand what it's truly like to be me. Will never truly understand who I am. So why do we feel the need to prove that to anybody? What's the point? Doesn't that sound exhausting? Let people think whatever they want to think. You are only responsible for being the most authentic, truest, aligned version of you. Be the best version of you. And anybody else's perception of you is skewed. We can try to help people understand. People can relate. Like a lot of people relate to me. I relate to a lot of people because of our shared experiences. But how we felt and how we endured and how we navigated through that shared experience is what makes us different. And even though I channel like many other people and I bring through a lot of the same guides that a lot of other people do, you know what makes me different? My frequency. I happen to know what my frequency is. It's 741. It's a very detoxifying frequency. That's why oftentimes people have sessions with me. They have clarity just being in my energy, just being on live with me, just being in. That's why live events were so people love going on retreats with me, love being in my energy because they just, my energy is like cleaning their shit up. Someone else's frequency that may be saying the exact same words a little bit differently. Maybe they're running 432. Maybe they're running 987. Maybe they're running something else completely. That's what makes us different, is our frequency, what we are emitting that our ego isn't even aware of. So when we come back to bringing that back to authenticity, it just kind of takes the pressure off. Like, you mean I don't have to prove myself to anybody? I don't have to try to make people understand me as long as I understand me? You mean I don't have to make people accept me? Only I have to accept me? You mean I don't have to make other people love me? I just have to love me? We teach people how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. Thank you, Tammy. Okay. So we are so close to time. I think today is a good day for reflection. If you are a member of Cosmic Conversations, my YouTube membership, I will be live at 2 p.m. to take you on that DNA restructuring, energy healing journey today. We're going to go in through that looking glass and we're going to make some changes at the cellular level. We're going to be working with, we're going to be working in the Temple of Transformation. We're going to be working with Plutarian energy and we're going to be working with Pluto and we're going to be working with Jupiter. And we are going to be doing some deep cellular work. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening in the background as you guys journey that the guides will be doing, and we'll be offering that frequency to you, and your body will basically go, oh yeah, that's the frequency, and it will align to it. So I'm just offering the frequency. Your body does the work of aligning to it and allowing for that expansion to occur. The point of today's journey is to help you guys break down that density that's in the way, if you will, and allow that to crystallize into a new foundation to really create a bigger structure to sustain more abundance, more freedom, more joy, more authenticity, more sovereignty, whatever it is that you're seeking. Yeah, Tammy, the energy is not just elevated. It's not going back down. We don't have any more of these spikes and these drops. We're continuously going up and up and up and up and up. Can you maybe say in how many hours DNA is? Oh, this thing. Okay. Hour and a half. Well, I'll be live at 2:00 Eastern time. It's an hour and a half. So anyway, if you guys want to be a part of that, hop on over to the YouTube membership. There is a link. There's links everywhere. Just look for them. Your energy is amazing. If someone had not has not been on the fence for purchasing your course or private session. Trust me, you want to feel her energy personally, worth every dollar you spend. Patty spent a lot of time with me in person, so she knows how my energy is. So you guys can jump into that. But if you don't, find someone that you do resonate with. And thank you for that, Patty. If it's not me, find someone that you do resonate with. Do what you can with what you have and where you are, and maximize today. Have some self-reflection. Be present, which is to be grounded and centered, right? Be present. Really kind of let yourself dream a little bit about your big picture, that end game, and get honest with yourself about the fears that are keeping you from taking those next steps to going forward. And ask yourself, is it serving me to hold on to these? Is it serving me to not move forward? And sometimes moving forward means we have to let go of people, places, and things, even if they didn't do anything wrong, even if the place is beautiful. Sometimes we've just learned all that we have to learn, and we have to move forward. And if we don't, we actually hinder ourselves and the other people who we're still holding on to. We're repressing their light as well by not doing our part to break that deal and move forward, So whether it's a job, a person, a location, whatever's coming up for you, look at it with honesty, without judgment. Don't beat yourself up. I'm so hard on myself. Don't be hard on yourself. I'm working on that every day in my life, not being hard on myself, not judging myself. It's the work that we're here to do. So whatever this today looks like to you, it's a very rare event. We're here. Let's utilize this energy intentionally. It's a karmic reset. It means you get a chance for a clean slate. You get a chance to make peace with all that is, so that you can receive all the amazingness. All right. So I will see you guys, for my members who are going to join me on this epic journey. And if you join tomorrow, you still get access to the journey, you guys. You'll get, plus all the other channel content that's in there and that will continue to build. So just know that, when you're ready for it, it will be there for you, and it'll be harnessing today's energy. So thank you for all of you for joining me. May today and every day forward expand in opulence and joy. I love you guys. I will see you soon.